This week on Off the Tongue, we will be discussing some of the questions featured in ESO's Ask Us Anything Variety Pack 4. These questions will include armor, keeps, crowd control, alien ruins, puzzles, and more. We will also be talking about character customization as well. Welcome to Off the Tongue. Yeah!
Are you happy as I am? There's a lot of stuff on PvP in this one.
Well, most definitely. It's about time they gave us a little bit more on PvP.
Might get all giddy. The first couple of questions we'll be discussing are going to be about armor. Alright, first up is Philip Haas's question. In previous Elder Scrolls games, armor was divided into categories, with each category having multiple styles of armor. The styles were tiered, so there was a progression in the type of armor the player would wear from early game to late game. Does the Elder Scrolls Online use an armor progression similar to the one used in Skyrim?
Zenimax replies, the Elder Scrolls Online features a very similar armor system. Armor is divided into 3 categories, light, medium, and heavy. Light armor is generally good for magic users, medium armor is good for stamina users, and heavy armor is good for keeping yourself alive as long as possible. Within each category, there are many different types available. Some are specific to a particular racial style, but you can wear any armor regardless of your race, and some of the iconic sets you might recognize from past Elder Scrolls games, such as Daedric, Dwemer, and more. So yeah, given that armor has their respective traits, such as magic for light, stamina for medium, and health for heavy, what type of armor are you going to use for your battle mage?
Well, it's a no-brainer that I'll be using light and medium. I'll test out certain pieces of heavy, but I don't see them being that great for casters right now. We'll have to wait and see how the hitboxes work. For instance, if a headshot deals more damage, I'll definitely look into strengthening my defenses in weaker areas.
Yeah, I can imagine that Chronicle is taking the hitbox premise into effect. You know, since he's put together such an in-depth combat system already, especially because of the use of bows and arrows, I'm sure that they're gonna have specific hitboxes. Hit somebody in the face with an arrow, sure, it's probably gonna do more damage.
And that's kind of where I would like to wear heavy armor on my head.
I'm just gonna run around wearing a helmet.
You're crazy. The next question is from Andrew Anders. With anyone being able to pick any armor and weapon he likes, is there a way to guess which abilities and defenses your opponent has in PvP, other than watching his spell effects?
Zenimax replies, even though every player can use any type of armor, the choice has a huge influence on playstyle, more so than class even. Light armor will allow you to cast many more spells, but at the expense of protection. While it is certainly possible to use light armor and fight in the front line, it will make you a lot less survivable than someone wearing heavy armor. So if you see any enemies in robes, it's a pretty safe bet that they will be throwing spells at you. That said, many different builds are possible, so figuring out what your enemy is capable of is part of the fun in PvP.
Yeah, I'm going to have fun with experimenting with different armor sets, combinations. I look forward to it. I have a mischievous mind when it comes to PvP. When they first mentioned that player would be able to use any armor, I started trying to think of ways I could try to deceive other players. And I'm kind of looking forward to the amount of experimenting I'm going to have to be doing with different types of armor. It's going to take up hours upon hours of time doing it, but I think it's going to be fun. To me, it's like a game within a game itself.
Yeah, it's a lot of options in the skill trees, and that's where most of the experimenting is going to happen. What I'm wondering is, let's say you're running down a battlefield and you see your opponent in heavy armor. What would it matter if he casts a spell or swings a sword? You're not going to know what he's going to do next because there's so much in the skill tree. And not only that, but you've only got 5 slots on your bar for spells.
Well, first, if he does cast, I know he's not going to be a strong caster, as strongest caster as he could be, because he's not wearing robes or even light armor. If he's wearing all heavy, then I know that I'm going to probably have to DPS him more to get him down.
Which is probably going to cost more stamina on your part. I can see where that's what the guesswork would be. Deciding before you even enter a battle, that quick decision of how much stamina am I going to have to spend during this fight.
You're going to have to play it smart. You know, if your main attack's going to be shooting fireballs, then you're going to want to build your character towards that and give yourself a little bit of defense. Me personally, I would never go full-blown heavy armor on my mage because I'm not going to have the hitting power, the benefits. If I see a mage with heavy armor, I know he's not going to be able to hit me as hard as I'm going to be able to hit him. He'll just be able to take more damage.
Well, luckily, I'm a powerhouse of Nordish descendancy. So I'm definitely going to be like full heavy armor, dual swords, And no, I'm not going dual shields like other people have suggested.
Dual shields? That would be totally effective. Alright, these next two questions are regarding keeps. The first one asks, how fast can players travel from keep to keep in Cyrodiil? While I realize that we don't want the traveling to take too long when going from one point of interest to the next, having a significant travel time would be a good thing. By Pierre-Luc Bergeron. Hope I got that right.
Attrition is a huge concern in keep battles, and one way to enforce it is travel time after death. Keeps in Cyrodiil are separated enough to allow a team to gather themselves after a keep defense or capture before an enemy is back on them. On average, it takes about a minute or two to travel from keep to keep within your own alliance territory while mounted. This is variable, of course, depending on the route you take and between alliance territories within Cyrodiil. That just doesn't make Cyrodiil seem that big.
Maybe if it was like 3 to 4 minutes?
5 minutes would be ideal from keep to keep. That'd give you enough time to get sidetracked as well. Either that or your horses are going to be booking it, like fast.
Alright, the second question regarding keeps. How exactly does the supply line system work? There's another name I'm going to butcher. Bales Gomares?
Okay, so keeps are linked together in a travel network, and you can travel from keep to keep under certain conditions. If the keep is not flagged as under attack, and at least one of the resources is owned by your alliance, you can travel to that keep. This also applies when trying to leave a keep you're currently inside. If the keep you're in is being assaulted or has lost all the resource structures around it, you cannot fast travel out of it via the supply line network.
Yeah, what I like about this is that not only are you able to make a keep weaker by cutting off its resources, but you'll also slow down the flow of reinforcements. It will make the holders of the keep have a reason to leave the keep, go defend or retake resources instead of waiting for the attackers to attack the keep head on and fight for resource spots. And attackers are going to be more willing to take out resources.
Well, that's where I'm going to be at. If I can go to any of the 3 resources around a keep and cut them off, I can keep reinforcements from traveling from another keep to that keep. Well then, yeah, that's what I'll be doing. But the hardest part is directing the traffic within that keep. If you got people attacking multiple resources around you and they're trying to take them all down at once, then you have to have a lot of communication as to which resource is weakest at this time. Which one do we need more reinforcements at? And I'd love to be in charge of that. That'd be cool. I'd be like, we gotta go, guys, you know. A-team.
A-team assemble. They add a lot of strategy. Alright, moving on. Dara Gorbin asks, how is crowd control going to be applied in massive PvP? Example, how often am I going to get pulled, knocked down, staggered, rooted, knocked away? Are there any crowd control immunities?
To which Zenimax replies, coordinating crowd control and immunities certainly is a big part of the strategy in massive PvP battles. There are many different types of crowd control, including the ones you mentioned, as well as the variety of ways to cope with them. Here are some examples in no particular order. The heavy armor skill includes an ability called Immovable that costs stamina and makes you immune to stuns and knockbacks and staggers for 8 seconds.
Jeez.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah, it is.
The CC Breaker is a core mechanic available to all players. If you are currently affected by a crowd control ability, you can tap both mouse buttons to break out of it and become immune for 8 seconds. This costs quite a bit of stamina, however, so it's something you want to do at the right time. That's still a lot of time. Basically, if you are sinking your points into the heavy armor skill tree, then you're going to get 16 seconds of immune ability. That'll turn the tide of a fight, that's for sure. The next is a PvP specific ability allows you to remove negative effects, including crowd control, from nearby allies. I think that this ability is actually cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm hoping it's not an AoE thing. That would be kind of weird. And I hope it's not for 8 seconds.
This last bullet point worries me.
And many more. I don't know what this means.
Because what makes me worried about it is in past MMOs we've played, there was so much CC, like stuns, knockbacks, knockdowns. I'm hoping this won't be going in the opposite direction, where there will be too many CC counters available to us. Also, I see this falling more on stamina. Stamina is going to have to be really fine-tuned in PvP. I'm interested to learn more. I'll just put it that way.
You want to talk about the Dragonborn?
Yes, I do want to talk about the Dragonborn.
Well, at least they're finally talking about me.
Next question is, are we going to encounter Dragonborns in ESO or learn shouts by Hawk Bulmer? And before you read the answer, I want to say I love this guy's name. I picture him, a Navy SEAL, Green Beret, and jet fighter pilot all in one.
Here's to you, Hawk. Zenimax comes back and says, the line of Riemann Cyrodiil of the Second Empire was certainly Dragonborn, but they died out at the end of the First Era. And between then and the date of ESO, no legitimate Dragonborn has been confirmed by being able to light the dragon fires in the Imperial City. As for shouts, i.e. Thumes, at the time of ESO, they are considered a legend out of the distant past.
Okay, we kind of knew this, but still, just because the question was asked by Hawk, we had to put it in.
That's true. Thanks, Hawk.
Alright, next question. The Ayleids are said to have at one point controlled the entirety of what is now the Imperial province of Cyrodiil. Does that mean we are going to see Ayleid ruins in Cyrodiil or in provinces like High Rock or Valenwood? By Ian Barber.
Zenimax says the Ayleids were considerably more widespread than in just the province of Cyrodiil. At the height of their civilization, they were spread across Tamriel from High Rock to Black Marsh. And though their ruins are most frequently encountered in Cyrodiil, you might find one in any province but Skyrim, Morrowind, and Somerset. Outside Cyrodiil, they are most common in Valenwood, because after the slave revolt of Saint Alessia, the Ayleids who fled Cyrodiil largely took refuge among the wood elves of the south. So yeah, more Ayleid ruins, guys. More Ayleid ruins. Awesome.
Pretty cool.
And that means, since there's more Ayleid ruins, there's going to be more puzzles. Which leads us to our next question.
Will there be some puzzles that require us to move around blocks to open up something? Will there be puzzles at all? By Lieber Held.
Allow me to answer this in one word. Absolutely. Going back to the previous question, if there is going to be more Ayleid ruins scattered around more than just Cyrodiil, which the only time we saw them before was in Cyrodiil during Oblivion. But since there's going to be more, there's definitely going to be more puzzles, because that's where you're going to find them. They're pretty much known for their wicked doors.
And from what ZOS has been preaching since the announcement of TESO, that will hold true to past test games, but multiplayer, I can't see them passing this up, and I kind of look forward to it.
Yeah, they're going to be fun.
Alright, the last question. Emmanuel asks, books have always held an important place in the lore of the Elder Scrolls, and those that increase skills are my favorite. Will we be able to find these two types of books in ESO? Will there be a sequel to the Lusty Argonian Maid?
The current plan is to have both kinds of books in ESO, and plenty of them. We will have new lore books by the SCAD, and old favorites from previous TES games, including both volumes of the Lusty Argonian Maid. So there you have it. Apparently you're going to get both.
This one's sexy Argonian. So promiscuous.
Who hasn't been there? You know?
We've all been there. Some by choice.
I know I have. You know, you're looking up lizards on Google, all of a sudden you see some tail, and then you write a book, The Lusty Argonian Maid.
I've wrote in 2 books, wrote a couple poems too.
Awesome.
Alright, character customization time.
Alright, so moving on, let's talk about some character customization. Finally. First thing you do when you hit the character customization screen is pick your character's name. You'll be able to have 2 names. And you won't be able to continue unless you put in a last name. Next, you'll have to choose your faction, your race, and then your class. That's where the character customization really starts. At the top of the screen, there'll be a body type tab with a triangle emblem that lets you choose within a medium of muscular, large, and thin. You'll be able to grab the little dot in the center and move it around on the triangle where you want it within that medium. Also underneath this, there's going to be 11 body type sliders, including gut, posterior, and hand thickness.
Your favorite.
Fattest fingers in the world. So these sliders are going to have roughly around 16 presets per slider. And then you'll be able to choose your skin type, and there's going to be 20 different skin colors. Now, I'm not sure if this is going to be the skin colors for Argonians and Khajiits. I'm wondering if they're going to have multiple skin colors within each color. Like you'll have a mixed match of blue and red or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, probably like for Khajiit, there'll be like a predominantly orange, a little bit of yellow.
Or black stripes, like Garfield.
I know there's going to be an option for war paint. The war paint might be stripes for the Khajiit.
I'm at least hoping that one of the war paints has a black hand.
Yeah.
So next, you'll move on to facial customization. At the top of the screen, there's going to be another triangle with a medium between heroic, soft, and angular. Underneath that, there's going to be 31 different facial sliders, including ear tip flare, age, and war paint, like you suggested earlier. So we're definitely going to have a lot of customization.
These triangles aren't really anything new. We've seen them in EVE and a few other games.
It's almost like a morphing slider, like it morphs between the three.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about making my toon like the ugliest dark elf. Yeah, I'm sort of sold on Dunmer right now, so I'm just going to make the ugliest dark elf Tamriel has ever seen.
Well, I for one am hoping that you can make your character extremely fat and large, and he's going to have a heroic face, I would have to say. But, I like customization. I like having all the options there. At the same time, you start looking at ear tip flare. Is it too much?
No, I don't think so. Not one bit.
How many times in an MMO do you go and check out other people's characters about how they look? Do you notice their ear tip flare?
Yeah, I sure do. And I like Eve's character customization. It's like having ZBrush in the game just to customize your toon. I love that. But I'll tell you, if you're going to make your character fat, seriously, you make being fat cool.
Thank you. I strive for fatness.
That was a compliment.
Thank you. And I took it right to the heart.
Alright guys, as we were discussing earlier about crowd control, do you guys think that the 8-second CC immunities are fair? And how many CC breakabilities do you think is enough?
Yeah, let us know. Leave us a comment below.
Yeah.
Alright guys, this has been RatzCast. Thank you for watching. This is Human Overclock.
And I'm Stench. And as always, thank you.